Hey there, does this look delicious? Are you wondering to yourself if you could make the exact same thing at home? Well, the answer is maybe. Maybe with my help, you too could cook bulgogi. Yeah. Anyway, what the hell is bulgogi anyway? Well, it's this. But, oh, the meat part. Anyway, without further fucking around, let's get to it.
Paging one person who gives a fuck. Again, one person who gives a fuck. Your train will be leaving from Station C, Platform F, in 5 minutes. Thank you.
So the first thing we're going to do, obviously, is we're going to get some meat, because what bulgogi is fire meat. It's usually barbecued. We're not going to barbecue it, but we're going to do something to get around the fact that we're not barbecuing it. Now, we're going to try and cut it as thin as we can, and to make that easier, we're going to have a nice sharp knife, and we're going to put the meat in the freezer for a little while before we cut into it, because it'll make it a little more solid. Just a little bit easier to handle that way. Now here I'm actually using a calf steak. You can use whatever you want, but something that's a little more tender and has a good fat content is advisable. Now, none of this is going to go to waste because we have Honey Bear, and she's a good doggo, and she does tricks, and she's a sweetheart, and of course I'm going to reward her with treats and num-nums. Moving on. Now, normally with bulgogi, it would be done over coals or an open flame or a barbecue. To get around the fact that we're not actually doing that, we're going to use this handy dandy little kitchen smoker that is used exclusively for wood chips, by the way. Yeah, I know what it looks like. Anyway, after putting a whole bunch of smoke into the little container here and sealing it up, we're going to let that sit in the fridge overnight. So now we're on to the ingredients for our actual marinade. We've got some garlic, some black pepper, some salt, sesame oil, soy sauce, some honey. Alternatively, you can use brown sugar, some mirin. This is an Asian pear, some onion. We actually smoked and roasted these sesame seeds. There's some ginger there, optional MSG, and then in the back there we have some oyster sauce. This is optional, although I recommend it. That's optional. You don't have to smoke those. You can just use the normal, and the honey can be substituted for brown sugar. Whew, that was a lot to say. Anyway, moving on, we're going to break down some of these ingredients. The Asian pear has a little bit more of a tougher skin on it, so I ended up removing the skin before doing the next step. And while I'm doing that, I might as well say thank you to everybody who's been commenting, hitting like, subscribing. It's awesome to see so many people kind of vibing with what we do. It takes a little bit of work to do the cooking and a lot of bit of work to do the editing, and some of you may not know this, but I do a lot of the music myself. So at the end of the day, it's nice to see people are enjoying it, and we thank you for tuning in. Now, if you couldn't tell, that was just some regular old onion, and now we're going to move on to breaking down some ginger. I'm just going to take off the rind, cut nice long strips out of it, and then we're going to make sure we cut against the actual grain of the ginger, because if we don't, we're going to get big long hairs in the next step, and we don't want that. This is now some garlic that I'm just going to give a really quick little crush and then throw in. We don't really need to worry about getting really small here because we're about to blend the ever-loving motherfuck out of it. Now you can totally do this with a food processor. I found that I just like doing it with the immersion blender, and also I don't have a food processor, so that makes it kind of hard to use it. Now, if this doesn't look exactly like the bulgogi that you had before, it's notoriously hard to pin down what might be called traditional bulgogi because there's so many variations. So we finally chopped up some green onion, and we're going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. After that, we're doing 3 tablespoons roughly of soy sauce. I know I did 2 there, I actually added 1 a little later. About a tablespoon and a half of mirin. A tablespoon, 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce. A good old pinch of MSG, that one's optional. And we're doing about a tablespoon of honey or brown sugar. I don't recommend going overboard with the honey or brown sugar. We're looking for more salty than we are looking for sweet. Now, every day in the kitchen I learn something new. Today I learned that bottles pour better when you actually open them. Go figure. Good job, Joel. Give yourself a pat on the back, man. You awesome. You did your best. It's okay. Okay, we're gonna throw in some of our smoked and roasted sesame seeds there. And that's pretty much it for the marinade. So now we get to lube up our meat. Sauce up our meat. Now this was the meat that we smoked and had sitting in the fridge overnight. And this is actually the next morning that I'm prepping the rest of this. So I'm gonna give this another smoke now that the marinade is on it. So hopefully that can infuse some of that same smoky flavor into the marinade and not only just the meat. So we're sort of double smoking it, if you will. And hopefully that creates a really nice, solid, smoky flavor profile. And while we've got that going on, we're gonna move on to some other ingredients. If you've never had roasted, smoked, salted, crushed up sesame seeds, you are missing out. It is an absolutely amazing 9/10 of an orgasm type of foodgasmic experience, and I recommend it to everyone. Anyway, we're going to move on to our Ssamjang, which is actually creating our dipping sauce. Okay, now before I get mean comments and angry people, I know miso is the wrong ingredient. It is not interchangeable with doenjang, but it is the only thing I could find at 18 different grocery stores and 17 different hours that I was trying. So just bear with me and pretend that I'm doing the proper thing here. I really did try, and I'm very sorry. On the plus side, I already had gochujang in the fridge, so I'm using the correct ingredient, I think, in at least that respect. So, drop a like and, validate my good feelings for once. Anyway, you guys have seen me chop up garlic plenty of times, so we're putting a fairly finely chopped garlic in, a little bit of honey, again, not a ton. We're going to use those crushed up, salted, smoky, roasted sesame seeds, and we're going to really finely chop up some scallions here, put a little bit of that in as well, and this Ssamjang is coming along really nicely at this point. So we're going to put a little bit of sesame oil in there, and if I didn't already say this, we're using this as a dipping sauce, but Ssamjang itself can be used in so many things. It's very, very versatile. Now this is not something I've seen in other recipes with Ssamjang, but I did use a little bit of rice vinegar in there just to brighten things up a little bit, and I liked it. Now I know, onions again, but I swear we're actually onto the cooking part this time around. So we're just gonna really thinly slice these guys up, and then we're gonna break down a really, probably below average size carrot, just, just a regular old shorty. I'm alone in a room laughing at a carrot by myself. This is what my life has come to. Anyway, sweat those bitches off. Once we've got a little bit of translucency going on, we're going to add the meat in. Now, if you were grilling, certain grills obviously are made to have little holes in it so the liquid goes through. We're not going to have any of that in a pan, so we're going to get a lot of liquid. Now, you can just do that or just try and cook it down a bit, but I'm actually going to pour most of it out, but I'm going to save it. You'll see why in a little bit. Being the big dum-dum that I am, I was going to make rice and totally forgot. So luckily I had a little bit of leftover rice from the other day in the fridge that we were going to make fried rice with. I'm going to get the oil in the pan nice and hot, throw in the rice, and then I'm going to use that marinade that we just cooked out of the beef, and I'm pulling some of that stuff off the bottom of the pan. That's all just flavor right there. Throw some scallions in, some of that sesame that was crushed up with the salt, and we were ready to go. Now, although bulgogi has definitely got its origins in Korea, it's one of those dishes that's made its way all over the world, and it's really easy to see why. It's versatile, it's delicious, you can make it super fancy or super simple, and it has a home-cooked feeling while it's also very gourmet in a way. You owe it to yourself to have this. With that, I'll give everybody a annyeonghi gaseyo. Hopefully I didn't butcher that too much, but give us a like, comment, let us know if you like what we're doing, subscribe, hit that bell so you're never gonna miss an episode, and if you have any ideas for us or things you'd like to see, give us a shout. Bye!